Hey everybody, Jake here with TrendSpider to go over the weekend analysis into the first week of July. And we've got some interesting things going on with the daily versus the weekly candle. What we're going to do here is go over the raindrop candles and then go over the regular candles on the weekly. And what's interesting here is for the daily candle, we've got some interesting things. One, we've got the MACD histogram continuing to move down here. So the fast is starting to move towards the slow. It would be interesting to see if we do actually cross to the downside here. But until then, it kind of looks like this may be like a bullish kiss or something. And this is kind of the areas that are really acting as really hard levels of resistance and support currently. So we have this previous kind of broadening wedge resistance here, broke out and then pulled right back to this area and now bouncing off of it again. So one thing that I really want to do, just create an alert at this area above and have it be alerted on the 10 minute. So whenever the 10-minute candle gets in this area, I'll be alerted. We'll have it expire in 14 days or triggered one time. And then I'll do the same thing for this lower area as well. So anytime that the price action breaks through this kind of like megaphone, if you will, it's about the only thing I can say it is. Support expires in 14 days. Create alert. So you've got this increasing resistance, decreasing support here, and so whenever the price breaks through either one of these main areas, that will kind of be a status quo changer and something that I want to know. Another thing that I'll definitely want to know is the MACD crossing down. So I'll just go in here real quick and do a MACD bear cross. Expires in 14 days. Same thing, condition. We're looking for the daily fast, MACD fast, has crossed down through the daily MACD slow, and so whenever that occurs on the daily, we'll be alerted. Now, what's interesting here is we actually have the opposite on the weekly with the MACD recently crossing here, but we do have kind of a hanging man type candle formation here on the weekly candle. So it will be interesting to see if there is any follow through to the downside. And the market always has some crazy things to throw us. Just because this shows up as kind of a bearish setup does not mean we can't rip to new all-time highs next week, especially with all the things going around with the G20 and just possible momentum from any optimism coming out of that. So that is kind of what we're seeing here on the daily versus weekly on SPY. Once again, if we look at the raindrop here, we can see that a lot of the volume was near the low of the period here. If we really thought this was going to be a strong move to the upside, I generally like to see the volume near the high of the period. In this case, there wasn't a lot of volume at all near the high of the day here, and a lot of that was focused at the bottom. So all in all, we'll just have to see what happens. Moving on to the Qs, kind of looking similar on the chart here with the daily versus the weekly. Same general kind of setup here. We've got this previous area. Well, we've got a couple lines here, right? So we've got this area here. And so we've got like a lot of these rays coming out. So it's almost like we've got this gap creating an area below here that could be something to watch. If I just kind of clean this up a little bit, we've got our big broadening wedge here, and then we've got our previous resistance now acting support just like we had on SPY. Same thing, histogram moving down. That means the fast is getting closer to the slow here. So if we do break down, that'll be something to watch. Really same thing as well on the weekly as we just saw on SPY, where we are trying to have a MACD cross here on the weekly, but possibly a bear cross on the daily. So really using multiple time frames is really important because you could see something great on one time frame and then the other time frame looks absolutely horrible. So all in all, it'll be interesting to see if we do kind of break through this main fib area right above. Let me just turn this off on the daily. And so really, if we can break through this previous top, that would be something to definitely keep an eye on. I'll just quickly create an alert at this line. And anytime it alerts me on the 15-minute candle, anytime that 15-minute candle closes in here, I will be alerted. So same thing, we'll do it for 14 days and the alert's created. So now we can see, all right, if we do start breaking through this area, that is definitely a status quo changer because this was previous all-time highs. So all in all, we'll have to see what happens into a short week next week. Lastly, we have XBI, which generally can be a fun one to watch, especially if we're looking for, the risk on sentiment, if you will. What we have here is some interesting stuff on the daily where, now for XBI, we're finding this area where we had a nice move up and the volume actually created new highs of the day here. So this is a pretty strong candle from what I'm seeing, just based on the research that we've done on Raindrops so far. However, if we look back, we're really finding this very strong area of resistance above. We've got a very beautiful rounded bottom, and we'll just have to see if we do break through this area and continue up into the beginning of July. Now, on the weekly candle, what we can see here is we're in a very defined symmetrical wedge. Let me just remove the fibs here. And so we can see, this will be a very important area to watch regardless of which way we break down. So what I like to do is create an alert on just both sides of this wedge. And then whenever the wedge breaks down either way, we'll do wedge support. We know that, it's time to look at the chart again and maybe a bigger status quo has changed. So here's the wedge support. Here's the wedge resistance. And so now, instead of us having to stare at the chart all day next week, what we can do is we'll just be alerted anytime these levels break. Wedge resistance expires in 14 days. And so now, anytime we really break through this critical area, we will definitely know. And we will be alerted through email, SMS, and actually on the alert as well. On the platform as well. So will be a very interesting week. Same thing here. We do have more of kind of a bullish setup here with the recent histogram starting to tick up again. Weekly MACD starting to cross here with the histogram about to go positive. Anytime that the blue crosses the yellow here is when we go positive. So it will be fun to see if this does continue through the zero line next week. All in all, that's what we have for the weekend, a quick broad market update. Make sure to check out Raindrops if you have not already. To learn more about these volume-based candles, you can go to our user guide. We have our white paper, our user guide for actual Raindrops, and a couple other blogs that you can check out as well. If you have any questions at all just for the team, you can reach out at hello@trendspider.com or reach us at our social media accounts, TrendSpider, pretty much just on Twitter, Facebook, StockTwits. Just straight up TrendSpider is our account, and we're happy to answer any inquiries you have. Thanks so much for listening in. Hope everyone has a great 4th of July weekend, and happy trading into next week.